First order of business is election of the 2026 officers. The current officers are, I'm serving as the president. Eric is serving as vice president, so that has to change.
Yep.
And Courtney is serving as a secretary. Discussion.
We move that Paul's president and Courtney moves up to vice president, and then Jenna would love to be secretary.
But she can have perfect.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Yes.
Okay, we'll
Be
go
here
there.
all the time. Officer on there.
Assuming everybody wants.
So that's a motion.
I think the motion, I just.
Ron
I
seconded.
second, I second.
Yeah.
Motion and a second, further discussion. This is your chance. On favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I don't know if Brandon's voting, cause
Oh, yeah,
it's all, so I don't know if he's.
Brandon, are you
Yeah.
available?
I'm here.
Okay.
Brandon?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Perfect. Approval of minutes from December 18, 2025 meeting.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
Yeah.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report.
Brandon?
Brandon.
No, sorry.
Yep, I.
Sorry, out of sight, out of mind. My apologies. Financial reports.
Okay, financial reports were sent around in the packet. You'll see up here, we still have 2025 showing. We are getting the new fund balances, end of year balances, beginning of year balances from the auditor's office. So next month, all of that will be updated. So you'll see, for example, I'll give you one example is we had, 400 and some $1,000 left over that was gonna be spent in 2025 on the highway, new highway building for Bobby Howard and the highway department over here. They probably pulled 200 and some of that in there, so next month we'll get the final number from 25 that was actually spent. Whatever's remaining will carry over to 26 if they're gonna spend. So those will be adjusted with new end of year balances and stuff like that, but as of today, we're going with that.
So they end up giving you the end of your balance, or do you get that from?
We get that from the auditor, end of year balances, plus we encumbered some, so like some of that remaining. If we have an open project left, we encumber it. So there's stuff that the commissioners encumbered that were left from the ARPA grant program that got encumbered, and then we encumbered the Highway South facility money, and then we take that, put that all together. We go over what our new ending cash balance is. Another example is like our combined department budget is $1.6 million, but we never spend anywhere close to that. So whatever we don't spend just goes back into the fund, which gets more money left at the end of the year. So we'll update that for next month's meeting.
Did you get the encumbrances done on time?
It was very clear to get them done within this 2-hour window that we needed to, and we were ready to go.
Okay.
So we don't have any issues. We've never had any issues. But any questions?
Can you give me a quick reminder on the Castle Pool revitalization?
So, sure, there's a note in there for Castle Pool revitalization at the very bottom. Anything that is in green is really just for forecasting. And so that's like if we hear about a project or something else that may need some funding, those dollars haven't been appropriated by county council, they haven't come before the board yet, but the short version is the Castle Pool.
It's a mess.
Needs a lot of work.
Okay.
And it's had an HVAC problem for a long time. That's gotten significantly worse, and we want to continue to use that pool. I don't know for the high school teams, but adult swim fit. Infant learn to swim, kid learn to swim goes there, and then the swimming clubs in Warrick County have combined. So it's no longer the Sea Creatures and the Boonville swim, it's all. What's it called?
Win
Warrick,
Which stands,
for tidal wave.
yeah, Win Tidal Wave,
Indiana.
Warrick, Indiana Tidal Wave.
Tidal wave.
So they've combined and they'll use that pool for their long course season and stuff like that. And so there is a fix. The short version is I had a meeting, the schools were at the meeting, the swimming club was at the meeting, county was at the meeting, even the YMCA was at the meeting, just to understand what the fix needs for that pool. Okay.
because it wasn't even properly pulling out humidity, so I think they were,
It was,
a wild growing mold.
it was creating problems.
How old is it?
The HVAC system has never
Do
worked
you wanna
properly.
remember when that was built?
Gotta be 15 years ago.
I can get
I think
that.
it's more than that.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more than that.
Well, I was when my daughter was in high school, which 15 is pretty close. But the HVAC system never worked in there properly. Never was cooling at
Yeah,
an elevated level, so the parents were always sitting in 80-degree temperatures in the summertime with high humidity.
yep.
So bad design on the front end that never got fixed.
Any
It's
other
never
questions?
pleasant to sit in there.
No,
It's, yeah,
never.
On that.
it's been better to swim in there than it is
Yes, it
to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this one, I just.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
don't
higher
fit
you, the
flat.
higher you
Yeah.
get, the worse it is.
Yep,
Alright, so motion, need a motion.
A motion to
approve.
approve
Yeah.
financials.
There's a motion and need a second.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor, aye.
Aye. Brandon?
aye,
Great work.
okay,
Alright, motion approved.
new business.
Yeah.
First piece of new business is Herb needs to get paid. And so we do this every
Okay, for
January. Herb
Sometimes.
distributed an engagement letter to the presidents of the boards as of 2025. Herb is asking for a raise to $290. What is your normal billing
That-
rate?
Not, that's per hour, not per month, but
What's your normal billing rate?
515 this year.
So Herb's standard billing rate is $5.15. He's always given the county a discount. This is a $30 increase from last year.
Which is in line with the raise that we were seeking from our other clients, which was 10%.
So I think we get services at a discounted rate. And Herb is part of the team. And that's my 2 cents, but I will leave that to the EDAC board.
I move we approve this contract.
Motion is second, further discussion.
I'll add 2 things since there is further discussion, just to let the board know that the agreement does say that either side can cancel this agreement with 30 days notice. And then the other thing is, Herb always makes it aware that his firm also represents the town of Elberfeld, the town of Newburgh, and the town of Linville. So just understand that when there's conflicts of interest there, that sometimes legal has to step away.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Brandon,
Brandon?
aye,
motion carries.
Okay.
Next one.
Quick project update, because both of these deal with tax abatement, which affects, EDAC as well as RDC. I'll give this update one time and then RDC, we can skip over it. But 2 big projects in the North Warwick Industrial Park. So Project Vivid is the large industrial project that we've been working on for some time. It is still moving forward. Tomorrow, we have a big sewer and water utility coordination meeting for that project. On January 23rd, I have a meeting and an update with the project leadership, which should give us some guidance on their timetable and moving forward on their decision to announce this project. The tentative plan, we're still holding until I hear different, is to go to county council for the tax abatement in February and March. But with this update coming on January 23rd, just let everybody know, it can keep ticking, a month at a time. But I should know more after meeting with this project on the 8th. Any questions on Vivid? Okay, Project Firefly. So since last month, this is a Japanese automotive interior producer. They are looking at the shell building. Last month, they had a letter of intent. Now we have a signed purchase agreement. They asked for a little bit of an extension on their due diligence, which extended due diligence 10 days to January 23rd, and then closing on or before February 13th. So that is on the agenda. We tabled it in January because we did not have, they wanted some more time with due diligence. We didn't have a purchase agreement. So that is on the agenda, and I fully expect that to go forward to county council in February and in March.
What was the price on
The project or the abatement, or which one?
Shell
it?
building,
The purchase order.
So they're gonna wind up spending for the building and their build out, about $11.5 million on the building and the build out, and then another 1.1 million on equipment that they put in. And remember that, their first phase, they're connected through Toyota as a supplier. Their first phase is to get inventory in that building and out. So until they can expand the building for manufacturing, they're just gonna be doing logistics. But their plan is fairly quickly to go to 240 to 260,000 square feet. Add manufacturing and eventually be on 2 shifts. Each of those manufacturing shifts being about 75 employees.
And how much are they planning on adding on to the building or buildings?
So if they go to 240, they'll add 140,000 square feet.
They plan on attaching or is it gonna be?
Attaching.
Do you think it's fair to say, had we not had the show, we would not have gotten opportunity here? I guess what I'm trying to measure is, there was a
Absolutely.
lot of heartburn over this because it took so long.
Yep. I will tell you that the Shell allowed us to get several companies interested in Warrick County.
Yeah.
They didn't land in Warrick County,
Sure,
but it got, the building next to the Shell got built because they came and looked at the Shell.
got it.
It was on the radar for Project Vivid. It certainly, this project had many opportunities in the region for something that just had land.
Mhm.
And that didn't fit their timetable to get up and going and supplying. They couldn't wait.
They want to be up and ready by May, so.
And
yeah,
so we
yes,
were
had to have
the
it.
only option. You know, I've said it before to this group, and we kind of got that building complete as soon as COVID started in 2020 and everyone started working from home and no one was spending money and we had some inflation issues and some supply chain issues. And so it was a weird time.
Yeah.
But it got us a ton of eyeballs, and I will say that my opinion is that I wouldn't hesitate from being supportive again.
Yeah,
If we can cash flow and if it works for financially.
that was the point. That was
To have a
my
build-
question.
The best thing to be would be to have a building site and a greenfield site.
Yeah.
I
Because then,
support that. yeah.
because then you have the availability to
Sure.
respond to multiple projects.
And what it ended up being is what, 4 years where we paid interest only,
Yep.
which is probably around $500,000.
Yeah.
Which we'll earn back in tax revenue over the next coming years, even with the abatement. or-
And Woodward owes for the land as soon as it closes, which will be over $300,000
Right.
back to the RDC. So,
I mean, we're getting close. If we get Vivid closed, we're getting close to having a full park. And
That's a different problem.
I don't know, that's a different problem. That's a problem we didn't have 5 years ago.
Yeah.
and we'll talk
We-
about it in
we had
RDC.
We had an industrial park that sat empty for a while, and then we had one person in there, and we had 2. And then now we're talking about having it be full.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
big
I've-
change.
I've lived through it.
We'll
Yeah,
talk about it in
sure.
RDC, but I've got pictures of Phoenix's 3rd building
Yeah.
that they built. And in the last 2 weeks, I've had somebody come and talk about the project on site A, and somebody this week come and talk about that small lot where the house and garage was for B, so. There is a chance we could completely be out of land.
Yeah.
But
And
we'll
as
see.
part of site A is gonna be taken by Duke Substation for Vivid, assuming Vivid later.
Yeah,
Great news.
okay, any questions on those 2 projects? Okay, something we talked about last time was putting together an economic development grant program that we would massage and fine tune in this group and then bring to the commissioners and county council to see their interest in it. But basically it was to get more projects done. We have all these projects across the county. We feel we can make more progress and growth and impact in the quality of place and quality of life in Warrick County. So since our last meeting, our team here and Courtney and Jenna, we met at the Economic Development Office. We started, see that I can't spell, but we began outlining parameters about what types of projects. We want to kind of focus on quality of place projects because for the small amount of maybe some of these grants, we can't do sewer projects and build utility and those kind of things. We don't want to do any programming because that needs money every single year. So capital, quality of place projects in Warrick County. Who can apply? We talked about opening it up to everyone to apply. but then what we really wanted is, we want somebody to be kind of on the hook as a committed to the project and committed to see it through. So we'd like a municipality to be the applicant. That could be the county, that could be a town, a city, a township, but the municipality must be the applicant. They can partner with a 501c3 or a private person, but we've gotta have somebody, and it's easier for us, you know, financially and clawbacks and protections. I think it's easier to put it on the municipality to make sure that the project gets done. We talked about the match that they would need. We wanted to start with a minimum of a 20% match. Every project has to have skin in the game. And our scoring matrix would give you more points based on how much match that you have. And we'd like them to be projects that don't drag on forever. So what if projects are not qualifying? It has to be projects that have to be able to be complete within 2 years. And so that's the very beginning. Courtney got us a little outline. We're gonna start working on a grant application. From the application would be a scoring matrix. We just wanna put this packet together, then we'll bring it to the bigger board for feedback. Then we'll talk with our elected officials if they feel like that's something that we wanna move forward with.
And when you say minimum of 20% match, that's the municipality would have to put in
The project.
20%.
The municipality would have to be kind of the applicant and on the hook.
But the 80% would come partially between, I mean, would we put in more money than the applicant at times?
Yes, we could put in up to 80%.
Okay,
But we're gonna score it so that if you bring 80% and only need 20%, your project's gonna score better.
okay.
There's just a lot of projects that we could get done and that we have the funds without going elsewhere to do. So we'll see where that goes.
Lots of people, and here's my opinion, lots of people in government see lines at different places where there's cities and towns and county and all that stuff. Anybody that's not paying attention to the government piece does not see those lines, from my perspective. So if there's some improvement that can be made in Newburgh or Chandler or Boonville, that benefits all of us. That doesn't stop at the city or town line just because we live in the county or we're representing somebody that's Warrick County. So I think it's a great idea. And I think you guys came up with some really good parameters for it too, so.
So we'll keep working on it. If, and like I said, it'll first come to this board for feedback and we'll kind of build from there.
I know what I usually think of quality of place. What are you guys thinking?
I mean,
Quality of place.
there is a ton of quality of place projects.
It could be parks, it could be.
It could be parks, trails, downtown, downtown development, beautification projects. There's a lot of things that you walk around the county and our towns that, this I think could be the spark that gets stuff done. And if we've seen, one thing gets done on one block and it can help move other stuff forward.
To do some of the art that you guys are talking about at the
So-
county level.
Is there a minimum maximum?
So it really depends on, we want it to be funded with edit dollars that we have, that we get every year, that we keep track of our financials. And so it really will depend on conversations with council on how much they feel comfortable, whether we do this as a 2-year pilot program and see what we can get done. And that amount will determine how big or small these grants are.
And there is a cycle to it to where, the project's gonna have to be big. It can't necessarily just be a vision that they're coming with, right? Like we want them to be somewhat ready to go and you see the action that comes with it.
It has to be a
There's
quick
an
turnaround
expectation
time.
that they have the money available
Yeah.
at the time they come to you to say what they need.
Right. It's not to fund your, like,
Right.
vision and trying
Not
to
for them
figure
to
it
come
out.
along later. They
Yeah.
need to be there with us.
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully it can just make quality of life better in Warrick County for residents of Warrick County. That's the goal, simple. Okay. So next thing is just, I sent in the update email. It is the time of year when the bills go through the House and the Senate at the state level. I sent an update of a lot of the bills that were going. You can click in your email, click on any of those blue links and you can get a full reading of the bill and see who sponsored it and and all kinds of stuff. And half of the bills, I don't know, those are the elected officials and stuff that follow it. Half of them don't see the light of day or significantly change, and, a portion of them don't go anywhere. But if there's ones that interest you, there are bills on everything from TIF to local income tax to food and beverage districts to tourism to utilities to housing to education. There are bills on all kinds of things. I'll give you an example. There's one bill on local income tax that wants people to pay part of their income tax, not where they live, but where they work. And so like in Warrick County, we have a lot of people that work outside of the county, and because of our housing and our schools and our public safety, they live here, but they work other places, so that a bill like that would take dollars out of Warrick County from the income tax perspective. So they are interested, they are something to pay attention for. And just to kind of give you a heads up is that, there are a couple of big things, meetings on some of these big bills that happen this week. And then, January 29th is a big day because it's the last day for a bill to pass out of its House of Origin. So if it started in the Senate, that's the last day it has to pass out of the Senate. By that day, there's a day in February that the last day of the session, so that's the last day the bills die if they don't get passed. And so just keeping an eye on the calendar and keeping you guys in the loop on those things. Any questions on that?
Question for Ron.
Any-
So what's the general percentage of bills that start and bills that pass? Out of all the bills that
15% maybe get there,
maybe,
and every one of them will change
yeah.
drastically, usually. I
Okay.
rarely saw, it was never a bill that you might get through the House and no changes, but it'll come back in the Senate
Okay.
with changes, guaranteed.
Right.
And then some vice president to have anything, not change,
Okay.
doesn't happen. So, well, with a short session this year, it will be surprising how
Even
many
a harder
work.
road.
Much harder road.
Yeah.
I am going up next Wednesday, the day at the State House, that's sponsored with EREP. We get some, as a region, we get some time with the governor, we get some time with the head of the Senate and the head of the House and Secretary of Energy and Transportation. And so we get to talk about things that are important to Southern Indiana,
Mhm.
kind of plead our case and have a few minutes. So that'll take place on Wednesday.
And they're not in session on Wednesdays. Just some committee hearings is all.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes you can peer in and see some of
Yeah.
those committee meetings going on and stuff.
Are you guys meeting with the NDOT too?
Where we're gonna meet the head, the new Secretary of Transportation. So
Okay.
I did meet with him that last week, but that's for a later slide.
Is that somebody we know?
No.
Oh.
Okay, other new business, just kind of updating you guys. We talked about a bunch of projects that, we've been making progress on a bunch of these things. I'm not gonna hit them all, but, I met with the Parks Department yesterday on the new Scales Lake Gatehouse. We have a good plan. We have funding in place that's available, that's not coming from a bond or from new taxes or anything else. We've got some next steps on that project. We have a quote for a construction manager on the Oberfeld Pocket Park project out in Elberfeld. We have a couple more asks to try to close the gap for the final funding. And then whatever's remaining, I've talked about in here. I plan to go to county council to help close that gap. We've had a lot of different people contribute to that project, and it, everyone's got some skin in the game. And I think that's gonna be a spark up there in Elberfeld. I'm waiting to hear back from council member Rob Demet on this 4-H new building that we've talked about, and waiting for some discussions with property owners on Libert Road, which is kind of an RDC project on Libert Road to connect the wellness trail to the new Ohio Township Park. We've had some initial meetings on branding, and the regional public transportation study is underway. Jacob's been working on refreshing our website, which is looking good. And I talked with the commissioners about this park impact fee study and have a discussion with Structure Point next week about them doing that study. All that is a study. It's not implementing a fee, but it's just a study so we understand the parameters of that fee. And so we've been making progress step by step on a lot of these projects.
What do you guys been talking about as far as branding? Are you talking about like signage? You go into a city like Carmel or some place like that.
It's
like that, you
it's gotta
got
start
sign-
with,
you got
it's gotta
signs
start with the
everywhere.
Warrick County logo. And from there it goes to branding and wayfinding and all those things that you're talking about.
Okay,
But we need kind of a refresh.
okay.
And so that's where we're waiting on a couple of quotes to come back for folks that might help us with that project.
Yeah,
When those come in, we'll decide kind of the direction that we wanna go.
okay.
Okay, old business. Here's my meeting with NDOT. So I met with NDOT with Steve Sherwood. Bobby Howard happened to be under the weather, but he was in the loop on all of these things. NDOT brought 7, 8 people to the meeting, and the MPO was also there. Anyone that does work with the MPO at times, I want to let you know that Saeed is retiring April 1st. And it seems like Pam is going to take over at the MPO. Pam's easy to work with and expect a smooth transition and that kind of stuff. And so, remember, there's 3 intersections that NDOT wants to turn into J turns. It's at Epworth and Morgan, or Epworth and 62. It's out in front of Kaiser Aluminum. That's actually an R cut, meaning you can't go straight through the intersection. And then it's here at the, what we'll call the Newburgh Walmart at Bell and 66. And so this was the intersection we spent most of the time discussing, the one out front of Kaiser, kind of the opinion, after talking to the commissioners and talking with Bobby Howard, and my own personal opinion is that if Kaiser's okay with it, we don't have much about those improvements. Here, you know, this is a giant change. This would be no left turns at all from any direction. So you would have to, if you were on Bell, you would take a right turn, get over, take a U-turn, and then take another right, take a U-turn to go straight through the intersection and go left. And if you were on 66 and you wanted to go left, you would pass the intersection, get in a U-turn, come back to the intersection and take a right turn. And so another example of one of the sticking points that we had was that if you look, if you're familiar with coming out of Schnooks or wherever you're coming out of from over here, what this would change to is one straight lane and a double right turn. And a double right turn that then would try to get over into the U-turn lane. So our opinion is that that's not really a good design. We have some concerns on traffic counts. Bobby Howard was able to get an updated traffic count because the traffic counts that were used for the study were from 2023 maybe. This is a current 25 count, which is significantly higher than the 2023 count
Went from like what, 12,000 to 15,000
on
in
Bell.
3 years?
And so, there's growth factors and the MPO has been doing some modeling that they show is gonna cause some issues. And so it's really, the options that were kind of presented were, we're happy to talk about tweaks to this intersection, but still this design. If there's gonna be a big fight over it, we can just do nothing. And remember, they're trying to make a change because there are accidents, more accidents than are expected at this intersection. However, they tend to be rear end collisions, not left turning, like T-bones or
What does Walmart and Schnucks know about this?
0.
Yeah, I think they should know about this.
And so let me tell you the third option.
Okay, sorry.
The third option is, because we asked, well, what if we wanted a displaced left, which is what we went with at Epworth.
Yeah.
The issue is that displaced left is about $8 to $10 million more. And if you do, I will be very transparent. If you read up on NDOT, they've canceled hundreds of projects across the state because there was no funding, because budgets were cut, because all that stuff happened. And so while we were able to get that change at Epworth, NDOT also expressed that it was one of their first displaced left and they grossly miscalculated the cost. Because remember, at one point, they were asking us to pay the difference between the U-turn and the displaced left. which was originally put out at about $800,000 more. And it wound up being about $9 million more.
Yeah, instead of 4 million, it was 13 million on the construction project.
And so they haven't done a displaced left for under, I think, 11 million. And so
For that.
I'm not. I'm just trying to say, if you read kind of where their budgets have gone and talk to Bobby about money coming out of the state. There's significantly less money than there was even 2 years ago. And so they can't justify spending another $8 million if they show that it improves safety. And it improves traffic wait times.
Do you have any idea what the sheriff's office feels about that?
I have not talked to Mike about it yet.
It is interesting that it's rear ends and not, cause then it's like, well, what's the cause of that versus?
Well, it's not only rear ends though.
There are some sideways, but
It was what, 14 or 15% was T-bone?
yeah, 14 to 15% were T-bones, and sometimes those are
Yeah, those are better.
injury prone. These intersections, along with the displaced left, they both do help rear end collisions a little bit because they give more green time. So a rear end, like the red light comes and then people rear end each other. So if you have more green time, there's less cycles for that rear end crash to happen. So this and a displaced left do reduce rear end collisions slightly. Their point was, it doesn't it doesn't cut off anyone's access like at 261 by Donut Bank or by Huck's that we're all familiar with, because it doesn't block anyone's driveway. It just changes where or how you take a left turn. So when I bring this up to the board, I'll tell you the next. They're gonna go back and update some growth factors, some traffic counts. The MPO is gonna do modeling and compare it against NDOT's modeling. NDOT just got their consultants selected, but not under contract. When I said, well, when can we meet again? You know, we're gonna meet 2 weeks or in a month. Getting their consultant under contract could take 4 to 5 to 6 months. So the next time we may get together is in July. These projects are scheduled for the construction year of 2030. So I mean, they are further off the calendar, but that's how far they plan road projects. And so there is some time, but we probably won't have more data like for this group or to talk to folks about until July.
But your impression was they wouldn't even consider displaced left at this point in time because of money.
Because of financial constraints, unless we wanted to cover that difference.
But you
If
said,
we wanted to, I think they would have that discussion that could be a viable solution.
but you said a second option was just leave it alone. How open were they to that option?
I think that
Well,
if
we
they
could do-
thought there
we
was
could do
gonna be,
that in a heartbeat.
I thought if there was a lot of
That's what you
pushback,
guys
they
want,
would,
that's
because
fine.
they have so many other projects that didn't make the
I
cut,
don't want to
Yeah.
spend the money.
that
No.
they could get other projects done. And so then, if we want, at the next meeting or via email, I can share the crash data and stuff like that, so.
I mean, there's no perfect intersection.
No.
And can you make it better? Probably, but this is a pretty complicated solution. Or we don't know what the improvement would be. You don't know what the unintended consequences necessarily, because that road that. I don't know what it's called, but it's the wellness trail road. That's that's kind of dangerous as it is today. And that's gonna have much higher volume for people avoiding this situation, so I don't know.
That, and then also you think of over by Old National,
Yeah,
that will be
yeah.
more cut through as well.
Yeah.
You're gonna get those. and
Or
that's
people
gonna be
stay
much
on,
worse.
Lincoln and then they come up Libert instead or Frame
That's right,
instead.
that's right.
So that's the interesting thing is a lot of times the focus is on traffic within this immediate circle.
People are already
Just
skipping
and
my
not how it
backup,
affects
Yeah.
the other way. So we're gonna have more time to talk about it. If we want it, if anyone wants to get in a smaller group, then we can meet outside of it and get engaged in this.
And
I
then
am all,
if the board's opinion though is you don't want a J-turn, it probably means no change. And if that's the direction we want to go, we certainly would want to hear that and talk about that some more.
and that can be the direction that I bring to the table. I think it was a great suggestion to talk to the sheriff for one. And then obviously the commissioners and Bobby Howard certainly
Mhm.
weigh in on all of these things.
But you said they would at
What they
least
do is
fix
share
that.
on it. We don't have any really.
They would at least fix the
And the
concrete
county
in the
like
middle of the
that.
road that people keep running over on.
Whether it's safer or not.
It was discussed, if you look at, if you're taking this corner right here, that this is a terrible corner, that trucks run over it, they smash.
Oh, I see
the
to compare it to.
But,
Yeah,
so,
but-
He can't say if he'd like it or not, cause he doesn't have any other intersections.
Well, I
to
mean, he
compare
knows
to.
what they're responding to and what they're,
Yeah.
what,
Well, that's all part of.
you already
it.
have the data.
I will tell you guys, they just put in one of these at 41 in Washington, if you wanna go drive it.
41 in Washington, okay.
Yep.
There's also,
It just opened like,
Been wanting Dell for a while.
it just opened within the last 6 months.
Dell, I think Dell was the
yeah,
first one around here.
yeah, cause when
That's-
I was at the state house.
Well, Dale's been around for a long
Yeah,
time.
that, but.
And I think that the traffic on 41 is similar
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
66 here, and so if you wanna kind of see,
Yeah.
it's a different setup, cause it's residential outside of the high school and a few other things.
I think our traffic is more here,
It is
Oh, yeah.
slightly more.
yeah, and.
But not very much. I mean, it's pretty close. We
The
looked,
amount,
we did look at
because
those.
getting
numbers.
over, as we were talking, my complaint then was I was a business owner then, went to Dale often. Trucks, cars were one thing, coming off and getting over,
Right.
coming, turn right, cross 3 lanes
Yeah.
to get into that left lane.
Yeah, they-
If you're in a truck, box truck mostly,
Yep,
That's a
to
trick.
turn and then try and get over, that was an accident waiting to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's with a lot of traffic. With Dale, there wasn't a lot of traffic.
Didn't they have a death or death?
Well, that's why they ended up putting it on. because-
well, that Dale run to your point is, that's an R cut, so that's what
Right.
they're gonna do out front of Alcoa. So you
Yes.
know, like, if you're not on 230, is it 231 by Dale?
231.
If you're not on 231, but if you're on the secondary road,
Mhm.
you can't go straight
You
across.
can't go straight across. You've
And
got to
so
turn, yeah.
you've gotta go way down and around, which is terrible, I'll tell you on a bicycle, but,
Well, you're trying to make that turn and get down and then cross.
yep.
That's it's not getting
So-
on, it's crossing and then doing the same thing when you get back the other way, is trying to cross back. Cause
In front of Alcoa, the solution would be every single person leaving, or Kaiser, every single person leaving truck, employee shift change.
Yeah.
Everyone goes right.
goes right, yeah, that's the difference.
So, and we talked about that because it's kind of uphill. And so then you have heavy loads and oversized loads and
Mhm.
trucks trying to go uphill to then get over a couple lanes into a turn. So they're
But
gonna
on,
look
but
at
on
it.
one of these, nobody can turn left, right?
There's no left turns at the intersection
Right,
from any direction,
From any
but you
direction.
can go straight across in both ways. So,
The same thing at Washington. If you're on Washington, you can't turn left on the 41.
correct.
You gotta drive down through the J turn.
It's the other.
No, you can go straight. You can't turn left.
But there's
Right,
nothing that
did I say
stops
that?
you from turning.
Yeah,
You
so.
can't go left.
That's where I feel like this is gonna be important, you're just gonna be going up there turning left regardless.
Now, I will say that's what they said about the displaced left at Fourth, is that people will miss the lanes to get over it, and they will just turn, and we did have that originally happen a few
Yes,
times.
that's right.
But once people figure it out, but yes, for people that have not been there before.
That when it's like brand new, but this to me feels like there's not a whole lot of real change other than like that it's telling you you can't, cause I mean. I'll
Well-
tell you, I could name a handful of people that'll go out there and turn left regardless.
I've done that at Washington.
Yeah, I mean,
I've
like-
done that at Washington. I won't go that way.
My lit is
Rule.
There wasn't anybody coming, so I turned left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
but did you get across?
It was fine.
we have time to.
We do have time, but I'm always asking if people want, if people are passionate about this, wanna get engaged, I will follow up with the sheriff, we'll follow up with the traffic counts, we'll get as much data as we can. And then it's going to be, there'll be a decision.
I feel like I'm passionate for that not to happen.
Yeah.
I'm very, very passionate.
I'm never a fan of anything that does a lot of U-turns. I mean, you're gonna
Right.
have a lot of people trying to, you're gonna have
Oh,
two
yeah.
rights.
I just,
Everybody trying to get to the left.
How many
and
right
then a
now
huge-
say no, hell no,
Yeah,
no, sorry,
yeah.
to say no to
Yeah,
a
and
general.
I do that often, so.
I use that all
You
the
would say-
time.
I do too.
See all the
Yeah,
traffic.
I say no.
I'm in
That's
that line
my
all the
concern is
time.
how much traffic it is.
My gut says no, but my head says I wanna look, I wanna still look at
Yeah.
the data.
Yep.
And I
So-
said,
That's fine, but I
just-
So, so if the
It's
answer
like
is no, then,
semis and-
so the answer is no, we get nothing, or we can agree to some sort of cost share. So that, in my mind, that's the second question. Does EDAC or the RDC wanna put up some money to get the intersection that we think we want here, is this important enough to spend $6 or $7 million of county money to make it happen into a displaced left turn intersection?
I would have to see a lot more data, because my first thing would be no.
I just,
Just leave
yeah,
it
mine
alone.
is just leave it
I would
alone.
just.
I don't think
Only
it's
developed.
I don't think it's clear what the problem.
The roundabout?
You're saying there's a
Just a
problem,
roundabout.
what is the magnitude of the
Oh,
Because I
Well, the
don't-
biggest part
so,
is
if somebody who lives in the area and travels the
I
same,
just
all
don't
of us
think
do.
that this
I don't
makes
think
good
most
sense.
of us
Oh.
see a big problem.
But
Nor do I think it-
And I think
problem
that
is
when
like
you would
14 or
personally,
15%.
and I know what my husband would say too, is
That's when people get hurt.
Yeah,
So.
is
so
that you
this
would
is
have
gonna
all of this
affect T-bones.
construction and everyone
Yeah,
would be
because
like,
they're never crossing.
why is anyone doing this?
yeah.
90% of the county.
To
would say
Paul's question, the problem, and again, I am not a traffic engineer.
Yeah.
But we've gotten in the weeds on this. NDOT looks at crash factors.
Right.
And there's a ratio, like a percentage.
Yes.
And this intersection scores significantly higher than what they would consider an average intersection with this level of traffic for crashes and severe crashes. And so all the money that they would spend on this comes out of what they call their safety bucket. They have new construction money and they have this, they have stuff in different buckets. All three in Warrick County are considered safety projects and they're based off of severity or number of crashes. Rated against other intersections, like for Vincennes, that's our district, they rate 200 intersections in the Vincennes district. And then they rank them and some come out way high, and so they're looking for a safety solution.
Can we add Tony Greenfield to the list of people?
To talk to,
Mhm.
sure. Yeah,
Cause I think him and Mike maybe could just give us.
I will talk,
Validation.
Who's he?
he's EMS.
EMS director.
And I just don't know that a bunch of
No.
turns is gonna make it any better, especially on the rear end.
The data supports that,
Yeah, but-
I agree, the gut doesn't
Cause all
say
we've
that,
seen is God's data.
right,
Correct.
right.
Let's just validate.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, one,
Is it a
Steve.
speed limit issue?
That-
100% Lloyd, everything that happens on the Lloyd.
Or are you talking, or is it the actual speed of the car?
Yeah, about 50 people going.
Yes,
So
it's
it
the
is.
second one.
Bell, I come down through, I see
Oh, yeah.
18-wheelers going
Yeah.
60.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a speed issue, so.
yeah.
But.
Never ever take off at a green light until you make sure everybody's gone through that ride because
You-
You're not getting on it.
it's awful.
All right, we have some time.
Steve?
This was all really good feedback. I'll get some more data and I'll talk to some more folks and then I will report back.
Could we get data ourselves on Epworth and how has there been a change in T-bone crashes at Epworth following the displaced left turn as compared to what it was?
We would
before?
get it from NDOT.
Yeah.
Or because they do this crash factor stuff, so I can get it and we can
That would
compare.
be interesting to see how it's changed, the bad T-bones has
Yeah.
changed at Epworth.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
All right,
Next.
okay, next, just letting you know, we are kicking off the RED program February 18th and 19th with a 2-day intensive workshop. That's with Ball State and Okra. Remember, we were one of 2 counties. We're trying to get people from all corners of Warrick County representing our towns and our townships, and it's about rural empowerment and development is the name of this program. And so we have a long list of people from Tennyson and Linville and Elberfeld and Chandler and the county and Newburgh and Boonville. Anyone in this room would be a good fit
Just can't get over it.
for this. And so if you can make these or make most of the days, I know they're long days and stuff like that, but if you can make it and are interested, please give me your name. If you can't in here, but you know somebody else that would be a good fit, we can still add people to this team. And to get more people, the more bandwidth we're gonna get. And I think this program is gonna be one of those that we're gonna get out of it when we put in.
Isn't that
So-
19th or?
Yeah,
It is our meeting, so we'll leave early.
what if we can only do one day, should we not?
I'm gonna ask that question because I have someone else ask that question and I will get back to you,
We'll be at the edges.
okay?
Fair enough.
Okay. All right, just another quick update on old business. We're going to, there were no appropriations in January, so we are going to the council meeting. I'm going with Matt from EMA for these flood sensors. We've talked about this in here. This board unanimously approved them, making Warrick County a safer place and providing EMA with money that they don't have to do that. And so that $50,000 appropriation is going to council in February. Tourism. So we talked about Allie Oliver was hired for tourism. You'll start seeing new ads and new billboards. There's 2 of them right there. That are going to go around the region, not just on 66 in Warrick County. They will be covering towns and events and all kinds of things. And then Allie is gonna start doing 2 days a month in our spare office, at our office, so that we have some collaboration between economic development and tourism, which I think is a good thing. And so we're just gonna start with 2 days a month. She's gonna work out of there. So if there's stuff that we are collaborating on, we can work together. Any questions on tourism? And if you have an interest in tourism, council and commissioners appoint people to those boards every month, and we're always looking for good people to fill spots. And if that's a passion of yours, let me know and I'll point you to those folks that make the appointments. Because I think that now with somebody on board to do some of the work, I think tourism is gonna really take off in a positive way. Anything else on that, Steve? Because Steve sits on the tourism board.
No, you covered it.
Okay,
We're excited to have Allie on board. She's doing a great job.
yeah.
What kind of money, what kind of money's coming in on an annual basis?
Last year, we took in almost $1 million.
Is it mostly on the 2 hotels out there by?
And the cottages at Victoria.
Victoria and then Airbnbs and some of the camping stuff. I mean, but yeah.
Okay.
Not many additional items, some upcoming stuff. I just grabbed the calendar for the Parks Foundation. Their big thing, the gala here at the event center is coming up on February 28th. It's a good time and raises a bunch of money for our parks, but they put out the rest of their calendars. If you like Easter at the park, or you like to come play bingo, or some of the other events, Race the Trails, the dates are up there, and you can find out things from there.
Do you guys do singles at the gala? Because my wife never wants to come, but I wouldn't mind to go.
I can get you a single. I can make sure you have a single.
I can find it there.
Yeah.
It is kind of formal.
Yes, they have it.
Kinda-
I had the same problem. I
Do
took
you
my
have
daughter
a
last time.
table sort of where you put?
We have
One
one where
off.
there's just like couples, and so we kind of piece them together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Put us over in the corner?
yeah, we'll put you in the back corner.
Does anyone want to be Herb's plus one?
Maybe in the corner.
And my wife won't come either, but I took my daughter.
There you
I
go.
can give it
So-
to my husband, so I may take you. I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
All right, any other board business? Okay, with that,
Need a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned.
Get your second.
Yeah. Sure. So we have election of 2026 officers.
I
What
move
do we
to
have?
keep the officers the same.
I'll second that.
Motion, okay. Do I have any, everyone, all in
What are
favor?
they?
Jeez
Let's
Louise.
start- let's start-
Yeah, let's start with the
Everything's-
basics.
Your secretary.
So then I can just be that across. the board.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just
yeah.
one job.
Yeah.
One-
I just need one title.
Don't get a big head.
No, I just need the same title, whatever
That's
that is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
All right.
Then
Who's
those,
Matt? That's VP.
Steve,
So,
keeping it all the time.
those pass. Okay, minutes. Does anybody have any questions or do I have a motion to approve minutes from last month?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Steve, all those in favor?
Aye.
Brandon?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, minutes pass. Financial reports, Steve?
Okay, financial reports. As you guys see, our fund balances for the different funds that we have. What I do want to report on really quickly, because we asked it with the Epworth TIF last time, is that, remember, we have 3 active bonds out in the Epworth TIF. And so if we remember, just as a review, here's the bonds and the interest rates that they're locked in at. So we've got 2015 at 2.78. The 19 at 4%, it goes to 5% in 2027, and the 2021 bond is at 2.5.
but the 2019 bond is not redeemable, so we can't take it out even if we wanted to.
I think that note's on there, yeah.
No early-
2019 is not, no early redemption.
The interest rate on the 2019 bond is a made up number because they paid us more than, what was it? They paid us more than the face value to begin with, so we got cash up front in exchange for a higher interest rate. So the blended
The
rate,
true rate.
the true rate's more like 2 something.
So I spoke with the treasurer, since our last meeting. And while she moves money around and she has it in multiple, different banks, the bulk of the county's money, including probably all of our TIF dollars, are in one of 2 accounts. And those currently are set at 4.5 and 4.7. So
Currently, they're that high.
that's where they are at right now.
Wow.
And so,
Yeah.
just to weigh in on these decisions, just so we understand where we're at. And when we wanna make decisions moving forward, whether to pay off debt or leave it. Now, remember, the county's getting that interest, not,
Even if the county was only getting 1%, these are still great because the
Those
typical
interest are
spread.
high.
So there's probably not a situation you would ever wanna pay these off. You agree, Steve?
Right.
Those are just too low to even think about touching, even the 4% going to 5, if you could. Is still very reasonably borrowed money.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't even take that one out, and the other ones are both under 3.
So yeah, even if you weren't earning 4.5, which I will tell you is absolutely crazy,
Well, we're not,
would scare me to death.
we're not earning it
I agree.
currently.
Well,
Well, I know we're not getting anything, but even if you.
We
what
are.
the county does.
Yeah, but-
We are.
Does the
Look, the
county,
county
they
can
have-
put it to good use,
Yeah.
and so I agree with
Yeah.
this, we're all the county.
yeah, we are, exactly.
Our county EDAC.
It's part of that, what the treasurer combines into that whole year-end interest that she has. What you guys do with it and where you put it, I don't know. I know that you guys account for that in some of your annual budgeting. Kind of what is brought in by the treasurer.
You said that's only in 2 banks, that 20 million?
No, she has
only-
multiple banks, but the bulk of the dollars. And I don't,
She's way over the,
Now, state of Indiana is the only state in the United States that covers every municipal deposits. The banks back in the 50s started putting money into an insurance fund. So the state of Indiana insures all municipal deposits.
so even if
Over
this
and above-
bank goes belly up, who's
Yeah.
paying this outrageously high percentage?
The state, and the
We're
state has had,
protected.
yeah, the state has a fund that would cover any banks going belly up.
Okay.
I'm telling you, a bank that's paying 4.75 is close to going belly up. Because
You
I just had a
bank,
chance to get $100 million at 3.25.
Right.
I got as much as I want. I mean,
Right,
Money's not worth that much
no,
today for anybody.
somebody's needing cash for some
And
important.
they can't get it anywhere else. That is what would scare me, but they're still secured.
If we're
as a
secured, we're
municipality,
fine.
But it will change the whole state if they would go broke, I'm sure, the way this fund works, because it would bankrupt this fund, but anyway, you're fine as a
Okay.
depositor.
Okay, and so moving on to the financials, you guys were sent them. We kind of have the same thing, is that we're keeping the 2025 stuff up there. We'll roll to the 2029 stuff as we work with Baker Tilly on a kickoff meeting with Baker Tilly in like 2 weeks. As we roll through kind of the expected dollars that come in, they kind of roll that forward a year. The same stuff, the stuff in green is placeholder forecasting money. So no changes in any of the tips since you guys have seen it in your packet.
We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second,
all those in favor?
aye.
Brandon,
aye,
pose same sign. All right, financials.
Okay.
pass.
Moving to claims. One claim we threw on there for $648 outside of what you guys have already seen, bringing the total to $57,303.91. The one claim, remember that we hired Nick Kyle to help us with our Newburgh sewer capacity issue. And Nick has spent 0.8 of an hour so far on us, and that
I'm not for
is.
sure I did that. Oh, he probably wrote the letter in January.
And so we are working on a draft of a letter for if we're gonna take action, and we'll talk about that later in the meeting. But that's the only bill that we have from Barnes and Thornburg. And that was really a discussion about sewer and sewer territories and districts and bringing them up to speed on where we've been the last 14 months, and that's the bill for it. So we did you didn't see that in your packet. We threw it on there because we told them we pay them that 45 and I didn't want to wait another month. And so that brings our total to what you see up on the screen.
I have a motion to approve the accounts payable.
So moved.
Second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Brandon?
aye,
Is hiring everyone-
All right, those pass.
Are you on the agenda to get approved for?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't see it on there.
yeah, I had to edit because we just got that
SKO's
letter.
not up there because
So-
our billing department's behind this month, so.
But I do have his engagement letter, and so let's talk about a couple of other things. Every year, you guys need to sign for RDC, you guys sign those bonds. Holly is gonna hand them out for the ones that we have. Brandon, we will get with you to get you to sign yours, okay? We'll
Sounds
find
good.
time.
okay,
So as Holly's handing those out, are they marked where they need to sign? Yeah. Okay, so they are marked where you need to sign. Courtney, we get yours ready when you came in?
No,
Yeah.
I already did mine.
Okay, that's right.
Sure. I don't know. I signed stuff. That's fine.
Johnny on the spot.
They just told me to sign something. It was fine.
When you guys have signed and you're ready, let me know and then we'll sign next
Yeah.
time. All right, you wanna go back around and pick them up?
The data.
You can. We can do.
What are the ones? Jenna Bob?
It's the one there.
Yeah.
There's still plenty of tickets for the.
Yeah, we should have.
Gala. We're
There's still
actually,
plenty of tickets for the gala.
we're actually like the highest we've ever been at this time. So I
Okay.
think there's only. Shoot, what was the number?
Well, I probably won't decide until I hear whether I have a date or not.
I've got 8 seats.
Oh, you do?
Uh-huh.
All right,
You needed one of them, Phil?
All right, next thing. So, the goal would be, if the board approves, to have the president, which remains Courtney, to sign this release. This is on the first building that Paul built in the industrial park. We had times and deadlines and square footage and investment and all of those things. And so we had a second mortgage on that, and that project for the first building is complete. And so this is just a release of our second mortgage. Anything else you wanna say about that, Herb?
No.
So, again, trying to get Herb to do one-page documents. Here is our nice little mortgage release, and, we can certainly discuss it. And if the board wants to make a motion, again, it would be for Courtney to sign, and then Holly will notarize it, and then we'll get it recorded.
If the county would let me go further out on the page and further up and down, I could have got it all on one page, but
You did.
is it all?
You
one
did
page?
get it all on one page.
Even with the recording limitations, I got it on one page.
Is it 2 inches up the top?
There may be something on a second page that I didn't put up there, Herb. You may have that on
Yeah,
there.
just have to put it on a second page. You
Yeah.
can't put it back and front and back.
Right.
Yeah, there's a second. Yeah, you're
I
right.
thought
Anybody
there was a
have-
second page.
Yeah.
Questions for
If I get it
discussion?
in.
Also moved to have you sign the release.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Uh,
Brandon?
Aye.
So we have a similar mortgage out for his phase 2 of the project. And so it's protecting the amount for the property, which was
25,
300 or 400,000 or something, 300 some odd thousand. It's still outstanding, and he's got to start by
October.
October of this
There's a
year.
date in October. I don't know what it is, but
So
It's October.
we'll run into this timing issue again, although I think it won't be a timing issue this time. I think he won't do it, so.
well, we'll see what his decision is at that point. But as Herb said, we're protected on that. This is just releasing that first building, which he did complete. And, okay, next is the same thing you guys did.
I mean, did you want to say anything about what he's doing about selling the buildings and stuff? They might be interested in that.
So, yeah, I may have that in the
Oh, is
North
that
Warrick
later?
thing, so let's wait on that.
Yep,
So. Same thing as from EDAC is Herb's fees and rates for 2026. It's the same exact engagement letter, the same exact rate, the same exact disclaimer that they represent Newburgh and Elberfeld and Linville in the same 30-day term.
I have a motion for, I guess, me to sign the letter, legal engagement letter for her. Motion to approve. Second,
second.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Brandon.
Aye.
All right.
Okay,
So,
so let's go through some action items on the tip.
yep.
Yep.
I was seeing if I need to write my name.
The first piece of action is the next steps. Last month, we had the presentation from Jordan on his project. We went forward with signing his agreement for incentives. Now, in order to do those incentives, I just want to walk through the next steps. So the next steps are for us to provide that incentive via the contract, via an economic development revenue bond. We're gonna do that bond as a draw bond because we have funds in the Epworth TIF to cover it. Similar like the broadband bonds, when we did that, we had dollars in edit to cover it. And so there's several next steps in order for us to issue this bond. We've been working with Old National Bank, who did the draw bond the last time, which was very favorable to Warrick County. For that community project, we want to set this one up the same way so that we can draw it and there's no penalty for paying back that draw immediately, which we didn't incur. We incurred minimal to no interest on an entire broadband bond. So we're gonna do a similar setup for this bond. Baker Tilly is working on a scope to present to Old National. And should have that tomorrow. But to issue these, we have to go through a series of steps. And that includes notice of public hearings and, when stuff gets filed and it goes to county council. And what we're trying to do is to close on this bond in early March after the March County Council meeting. So a couple of things. Economic development draw bond will only be backed by the Epworth TIF, which has all dollars in it to cover it. It's not. Doesn't have property tax backup, there's no lit on the line, there's no property tax on the line, there's no additional risk to the county. This bond does not impact the county's bonding capacity as well. It's all kind of wrapped up, and since initially, when we take it out, we're gonna pay it back. The goal is not to incur a bunch of interest.
Well, let me interject something just for a second.
Sure.
So we wouldn't be going through the charade of issuing a bond if we didn't have to. If the Indiana legislature would say redevelopment commissions can fund economic development projects in TIF areas and pay third-party developers directly.
This is the
we-
tool.
We would be doing that.
This,
So they write the bond statutes, the extra money for bond lawyer statute, which says if you go through a bond, you can pay money directly to a third party developer. So we go through this process, and all we're thinking of here is how can we do it and not pay interest? And Old National allowed us to do that before, and they're gonna do that again.
how
So
can we
in
do that
other
the
words,
most effective way?
We
This is the
can
tool.
prepay
provide incentives.
immediately, so when we take a draw, we'll pay them back the same day.
And
But it
so,
still checks the box of now we've done it legally in Indiana to be able to fund money directly to a
And
developer.
why don't we pay Baker Tilly to do the,
I mean, they're not gonna be as much, they're gonna bill us hourly because they're not gonna have much work to do.
yeah, it's not a whole scope like it would be a normal bond that goes through ratings and all of those things.
The bond lawyer probably end up being $30,000 or $35,000.
but this will be cheaper than that. This will be cheaper than that or be that?
No, he'll probably end up being.
We'll still have to use.
He's still gotta
Yeah.
do all the bond documents. He's still got several documents, but Baker Tilly's not gonna have to do very much.
Correct, and we've talked to them about just billing us hourly for what they have to do. The other thing here, guys, is that we don't use it very often unless we're doing these actions, but we have the EDC board, which is different than the boards that meet today. And that board is a 3-person board currently made up of Eric Pryor, Steve Smith, and myself. And so that's the board that the bond goes through, and you can kind of see as we're walking through there. February 5th, notice a public hearing for the EDC for that group. Under the Indiana code to issue it, and this whole thing goes through when you have to send publications, send to other folks, and we just follow the rules.
What week are you
And-
guys looking for the EDC meeting?
Well, so we are working on that. Steve just got with me for the times he's gonna be gone. So I'm gonna wait to hear from Eric, and then I'm gonna get back with Scott, Scott Peck's our bond
Does that week
counsel.
work for him,
No.
at least in part? Oh, not at all.
So we're gonna work on tweaking that day or that calendar, but I
You
need to
better
hear,
tell him pretty quick because
I need to hear from Eric.
you can go forward, but if you go backward, I think you're gonna push the date back.
Yeah, we'll figure that out tomorrow.
Okay,
I can't figure it out now during the meeting.
no, I understand. I
So,
understand.
but that's our tentative schedule right now. Anybody have any questions on that?
And the way the payments are set up I don't even remember what Jordan's company's called. Is it Epworth Development or something like that?
Yeah,
It's got Epworth in the title. The payment will be 4.5 million up front once we sign, and then 500,000 held back until he finishes 39 homes.
till he gets the vertical completed.
Right, like 39 homes, I think.
Yep.
Which entails moving millions of tons of dirt to get the dirt up.
And puts the road infrastructure is committed
Right.
to, and the utility infrastructure is committed to.
But not
Yeah.
a lot's coming out of the ground because the ground's 4 to 9 feet low. So he does that first, and then he'll build these houses and start putting in some of the infrastructure.
So if you guys have any questions on that, I'm going to start because we've just been working on this week. I will get with county council as well, to get on their agenda and send you guys the information. Details about the bond, the structure of the bond, and the schedule here in the next couple days.
I mean, from a county council standpoint, we're doing a bond issue because we have to. but we have the money and we'll pay them back immediately. So we will not incur interest charges. OMB will have some sort of fee to do the deal, which it was really reasonable before. Surely they'll charge us more than that this time, but so they'll have a fee, but we won't pay interest. So it's gonna be a great transaction. Right,
Looking right
right,
next to it.
right, Steve?
He's smiling, yeah.
I think you guys charged us all $500 the first time for the broadband bonds, so.
Yeah, more than that, I think.
Surely.
If it wasn't, I'm not so sure.
I don't know.
I'm not so sure.
Goodness.
All right, any other questions on
I
that?
mean, we appreciate it more than that this time.
We appreciated the discounted rate last time.
Since you brought it up, it's good.
It should be.
Okay, speaking of Jordan's project in the Epworth TIF, I just wanna say, like, the goal for next month, I know we had a presentation last month, but the goal for next month is I'd like to do some big picture Epworth TIF planning. And so what I wanna do is ahead of the meeting, I'll send the stuff so that you guys can review the vision plan. Remember, we went through those exercises, came up with how we want this area to develop. I wanna review the vision plan, and then we have information from Baker Tilly, even from last year, that accounts all of the new property tax changes and all the TIF changes, that shows us the forecast. The Epworth TIF was done in 3 phases and expires in 3 phases. So the first phase expires, I'm just gonna say, because I don't have it on the top of my head, 2033, and then 2034, and then the last phase does in 2036. So we're talking about 8 to 10 years. And we know what that TIF brings in every year. And so what I wanna do is take a look at that vision plan. Take a 5 or 10 year view, know about what money we have coming in, because it's significant. Outside of the incentive to the Epworth district and some other stuff that we have, it's significant, and start to prioritize, because that TIF is coming to an end, you know, how do we wanna move this vision plan forward? So that's the conversation for next month. I'll provide the board with some information to look at ahead of time. Then we'll look at the financials. Remember, the financials we have from Baker Tilly are based on, like, if no new development happens. So there'll be additional dollars as stuff gets built in the Epworth TIF. But we can just take a conservative look about where it was frozen in time on the dollars that we have and how we wanna best utilize those. And so, like, as an example, do we want to build Orthopedic Drive, which is a road that's been talked about to open up more frontage and more space, just like we did the wellness trail between Grimm and Epworth. And that would be another connection directly into Deaconess and open up property on both sides. What kind of projects do we want to incentivize? How aggressive do we want to be? Do we want to put the flag out that here are the kind of things we're looking for? And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you know, we're all ears. So we're gonna just have kind of the goal, unless Vivid is on, you know, here talking to us all, meeting. The goal next month for the redevelopment commission, I'm hoping, is to just plan on this so that we can have some goals moving forward. So
We also have to think about what roads we need to do to assist Jordan's development. So the plan is for Grimm Road to go north to get to his development. And then we got to decide what we're gonna do with Van Road. We got Van Road.
Van and
Van getting all the way
Orthopedic
to.
Drive are 2 big roads that have been on the county's radar for a long time. The decision would be, do we wanna work with landowners and stuff like that to accelerate that development?
So we're building Van right now at the sports park. And so it's 5 lanes right coming right out that port?
On the
And
west
then-
side of the roundabout, but then it's going to 3 lanes.
Right.
And we're trying to make that a through street eventually, and we can get in the weeds on that to blow
Yeah.
Van all the way through to Libert.
So
There's a little bit of an issue at Libert on how the roads may line up and all the utilities and everything that's there, so it's a big conversation, but we can have that conversation. We'll bring a big map and all some other stuff next month. But that's some stuff to get thinking about, and I'll try to give you guys like a 2-week head start on the materials to kind of look through, and we can have that.
And the thought process on Van going across is we don't want it to be like a through road, like the roads that people are driving 50 or 55 miles an hour on. We want it to be a little slower road, so we'll think about ways that we can design it to slow traffic.
Want it to be a destination kind of road
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
a speedway to get on the same
Right.
side.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Van extended all the way over
So
the
van
river.
going all the way across the river.
Silver 900,
I don't know the numbers, it's where McAllister's is.
yeah.
Okay, so North Warwick TIF, I'll skip this slide, guys, we already talked about Vision and Firefly
You
unless
know where it is, it's where Newburgh's master lift station is.
unless you guys have any other questions on these two, I'll move to this piece. So Nobles Chapel Road, that's a picture of the third building from Phoenix is going vertical and out of the ground. That's gonna be their headquarter building. It's going to be a lot nicer. It looks pretty cool when it's finally finished. It's still a pre-manufactured steel building that has a nice dot on it and offices and kind of headquarters there. Be their third building. They hope to be in that building about August. Completely finished out. But then what I mentioned in the last meeting is I had interest from somebody trying to see if they could put on lot A, if they could start putting some warehouse space. They were gonna be more of a landlord. They think that there's people that would want shop and warehouse space out in that area. And so they were looking at putting a building, maybe starting with a 12,000 square foot building on lot A. I told them that we have some moving pieces with Project Vivid and the substation and some of those things. We need a month or two for that, the smoke to clear, but the substation may only need about 5 acres. And that lot is 16.9. And so we easily probably could put the substation on the northern part and still squeeze a project off of that shared drive that Phoenix is building that comes off Nobles Chapel that will connect their 3 buildings. And then I did have a gentleman in this week about lot B, which is 4.8 acres. And remember, you can't make one lot out of those because there's woods and there's a wetland and there's a conservation easement. So we could draw that line between the lots differently, but around the northern part of B is that conservation easement and wetland easement. So we can't just combine those if somebody needed a 20-acre lot. And there's a dry basin in the top left corner of lot A that if we developed across it, we would need to move that retention. So there are some challenges on those lots.
How much of that 16.9 is actually usable?
If you were gonna keep the retention basin as is, I believe that out of that 16.9, you're looking at about 10.5.
Okay. And if we move it,
Cause there's some trees on the southern part too that
yeah,
you could cut and possibly get some more usable space, but. So. Let's see where Vivid goes. The gentleman that, I'll tell you guys this, the gentleman that wanted lot B had 2 ideas. His first idea was to put some kind of vehicle workshop on lot B. His second idea wanted to know if we could pull it out of the industrial park, turn it into residential and put some workforce, like townhouse units across there since there's residential across the street. And so Herb can, explain or it's not as easy as you think to pull stuff out of the industrial park. You can rezone stuff from industrial to this or ag to that.
but you can't put residential in an industrial park.
So it would
we
have to be,
get it out.
it would have to be carved out. Obviously, if the Shell building moves forward, if Vivid comes forward, there's gonna be a lot of workers that may like to live close to where they work.
Close.
Around the corner.
They can
Or
walk.
walk through the field.
Well,
But-
and speaking of,
Put a trail
just
in.
my own curiosity, have we heard, what are the conversations with the homes about? Anything?
So the last conversation we really had with the homeowners was when Phoenix was going in.
Okay.
And I have told them that we've always at least taken into consideration who we were putting on the south end of the park. From a operations, they don't run 3 shifts. Phoenix doesn't put a bunch of noise. They don't have 35 semi trucks every day. It was a good fit. It was a good fit for Nobles Chapel Road. It was a good fit for the neighbors.
Yeah.
And so I think we should be conscious of that. And so those were the last conversations I had. And that was a while ago.
But lot Lot B, which is 4.8 acres, is not anywhere near 4.8
No.
acres, right?
No,
Is
you
it-
could put
is it
like
half
a,
of that, is it half of that?
if you didn't have semi trucks or need a turning radius, you could put a 10,000 square foot warehouse on that.
Okay.
Um. But that's about the limit of it. That's where the house and the garage used to be. So,
That's tight.
On the 4.8.
yeah,
Most of that is in wetlands,
so.
and a lot of it's trees.
That's what's going on over here. You know, these dominoes, I think Firefly will happen first. I'll get a big update on the 23rd on Vivid, and then we'll see. We do have a couple of other projects, just to tell this group. I've got two other projects that are still looking for space. And one of them is very interested in this interchange. And so we continue to talk about the 40 acres that we don't own. I just asked Jenna some center point questions today on those overhead power lines that come down 57. Because the company was interested about what you can and can't do and what the clearance height is and stuff like that. We have one large logistic distribution project that is still looking at that parcel, and we have another one that is in the plastics industry looking at that site. And so,
And you guys just pick those poles up and move them to the other side of the road?
yeah,
I just leave the power lines on and just pick them up.
and so. I've told these companies, because these companies both have said, they always look at the picture of our park. And they always circle right where I have the word industrial, and they say, hey, in the green, hey, can't you give me 50 acres right over there? Can you carve out 35 acres right there? And I've kind of had to say, you know, until we know the status of a project we're in talks with, we can't. If that project would fall through, we certainly could. And so the interest is really good, and the interest is really picked up in general, whether it's the small warehouse guys or whether it's the shell building or whether it's these new projects. So lots of good news out that way. Something else that Steve Smith brought to my attention today. I knew they were bringing it back, but I didn't know the timing of it. And the announcement, I think, just came out today. That Okra is bringing back their certified site program. This is something, if you were around when Larry was here, this is something that you guys looked at, was this certified site program where the state will put a stamp on your site as it is either silver, gold, or prime. And so you can see what qualifies for each of them, and they have to be this close to an interstate, and they have to be this much acreage, and you have to have ownership, and for prime, you have to own it, and there has to be an archaeological investigation and some other things on there. I think that if we get to the point where we have, you know, if Project Vivid went away, it still can't hurt to go through this program, because it's just another web page and another group of folks that are pushing our site. And so it'll be marketed through Indiana's available sites, and it'll be on their list. And so if we have other sites that meet these limits, whether they're in North Warrick or other places, we probably want to consider if we think it checks the box, or if we only have to do a little bit of work to get it to check the box. I'm not saying it's going to make all the difference, but I'll say my opinion is it can't hurt. And if a site selector knows, hey, it's already been through that, knowing that there's a clear title and the land's, you know, this close here and has these characteristics, it does help give site selectors, when they're looking real wide with a wide net, some comfort that there's been some work done on a site.
You said a couple things about Vivid, then I assume you're gonna give an update on Vivid here in a minute.
I gave that in EDAC, so.
It still looks good. We're not seeing anything that's concerning.
Yep. And I got these two meetings set up, so we are
It's
good.
going well.
Okay, so we'll look at this program. It just came out today. We'll dig through it. It's run through Okra. And so we'll go from there. State Road 61 TIF, just kind of circling back to some of the projects we're working on. What I'd like to do is, last year we did the school project and we did the town fire project here. Or out of that 61 TIF, I'd like to pitch a park project potentially to the board to consider, with some of the TIF dollars that we have, again, to just move projects forward and make a difference in the community. There's a few here at Freeman Park. There's one specifically, which is Buddy Ball over at Van. And then we've talked a few times that we're looking at doing some big upgrades at Amax Fields. From changing the parking and improving safety to do a walking trail around the entire facility for people to use and for parents to use. And then also eventually, finally, moving to maybe a full-size field, full-size turf field here in Warrick County that all of our teams and clubs and everyone else can use. Because the nearest available turf field is all the way over on North Green River Road. If you want to rent and a lot of our teams do. So, I'll put a little more together for this group and then you guys can prioritize and we'll move forward with where the board sees, but that's kind of off the top of my head. You know, we want to look at another project that moves the needle. We have several that are already kind of coming together and being baked that need some additional funding.
How much money do we have in State Road 61 now? Ballpark.
1.6.
1.6.
Yeah.
So
The money's coming into State Road 61 TIF a lot faster than it did, say, at North Warrick Industrial
Yeah.
Park. I mean, it's
100%.
primarily driven by what Kaiser and Alcoa do.
Kaiser and Alcoa continue to make investments that just keep, there have been some other stuff on Prospect Boulevard and a few other things, but, just continue to make investments on their sites out there.
And we have an obligation to spend, well, it's not an obligation to spend, it's an obligation to have projects in place. And I forget what the numbers are, but the 20% rule, but I can't remember how it works, but, so we gotta spend a lot of that or get projects in place, and we need to get some of these finalized and moving forward.
Yep. Couple additional items for you guys. One is that we're going to join through our department. There is a Redevelopment Association of Indiana. And their fee is $25 for the first year, and it covers not only the redevelopment, like, not only the person, so like me as the executive director, it covers all the board members and everything else. And then they jack the price way up to $125 a year. So we're gonna join it as just a resource, because there are times that we will call someone like a Baker Tilly even to say, hey, here's an idea that we wanna do, or here's an incentive package that we wanna put together. And then we try to figure out like, well, what have other redevelopment commissions done? How do you structure that? I don't know. They have a resource library and some other stuff. We're gonna join it and
Is
see.
this like the AIM or the
It's through,
AIC?
yes.
Yeah, great.
We're gonna join it and see if it adds some connections and maybe just some resources that can give us some tools. So that's one. The next one is executive sessions. And so if there are things, we talked about it earlier, if there are things that have to do with legal. So like if Nick Kyle is going to come here and talk to us about strategy as we go through this, sewer capacity issue. There are certain things that you can have an executive session for. You can't take, we cannot take any final action, those will happen in our meetings. But we can have executive sessions for that, or if we had a specific project that we are gonna negotiate or talk incentives or everything else that's not ready for the full meeting, we can have executive sessions. So the one for Nick Kyle, you saw his 0.8 of an hour he's put in, but that's coming sooner rather than later, where we're gonna need to have kind of a strategy session. And when you do notices, you put those notices up ahead of the meeting that you're having an executive session. What I really wanna talk here is whatever the reason is. How would you guys like an executive session? So a lot of times executive sessions are right before the main meeting. So executive session at 4, main meeting at 5, and you just go back to back. However, the way we run EDAC and RDC, I mean, you have to put notice up that you have a meeting. And so you have to have a set time. It can't be whenever the first meeting ends, because those meetings can be 40 minutes or an hour and 40 minutes. And if we think that discussions are going to take a while, we also don't want to say we're going to have a half-hour executive session if we really need to have an in-depth discussion or strategy. So.
And we've got some important things to talk about, so constraining it to an hour is probably not a good idea.
Would this group, knowing that's the case, would this group prefer And again, this isn't a monthly thing, but it's a as needed thing. Would you prefer the Wednesday before the Thursday meeting? To schedule it at a similar time at 3 o'clock? Do we wanna do it over a lunch hour? We can have it at the Economic Development Office, but we just need. And we can put an email out of what times work, but I need this group to think about that because. We know when we do it, we need good attendance to have those discussions.
We
So-
could do start of a day, we could do middle of a day and do lunch, we could do end of a day. Whatever you guys think, just
So-
what, we need to be able to get 4 out of 7.
Do you
Four
want
or more out
a,
of 7.
do you want just an email with options? Do you want to just talk about what times or what do people think?
Easier for me not in the late afternoon, I will say that,
Okay,
easier for me during the day.
so we
First
can.
time, first thing in the
We can
morning.
do
or
it,
lunch,
yes.
First thing in
either
the
meal.
morning or lunch, I'm sorry.
Lunch. Lunchtime's good for me.
Yeah, lunch is good. for
It just can't be the third Wednesday of the month. We can't, I can't. attend
Okay.
the Third Wednesday.
Okay, but if we moved it to lunch on Tuesday before the
Yes.
meeting or Monday before.
Is
the meeting.
lunch bad for anybody? Even if it's a 2-hour meeting?
Okay, we will go with that. And I will give everyone enough heads up as we can. For when that may take place, but that's the discussion that I wanted to have so that we know, I just didn't wanna set a time and then announce.
So you'll pitch out a bunch of lunch times and they can
Yes,
say yay or nay.
yes,
So,
so, other board business, any board business, okay?
Motion to adjourn.
quick, second.
Okay, adjourn.
Or 208.